Hi, welcome to my channel again. This is Marcy, and of course, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I said I was going to do better about making sure I put out more consistent videos. So this is the start of me doing videos consistently because people are requesting, and I end up having long conversations and inboxing and emailing and saying the same things over and over. And I just decided to just go ahead and start putting them into videos, and then I can just provide this information for everybody. If you see me looking around, I have a whiteboard behind me and I have a whole lot of notes written there. And I have a pad in front of me here so I can just keep up with everything and so I can just stay on topic with all the information that I want to share with you guys on today. So today I'll be talking about the differences between billing and coding. A lot of people asking me, what is the difference between billing and coding? Or a lot of people think it's the same thing. So we'll go over billing and coding, the differences, the job descriptions, the average salary, the different organizations where you can get certified through. We'll talk about how to prepare for those exams, what's on those exams, what to expect, how long those exams are. We'll also talk about. I often hear people say after they're certified, then it's challenging or it's hard for them to find employment as a coder. So we'll talk about that. And we'll also talk about entry level jobs to also be on the lookout for as you gain your coding experience. So first I'll go into talking about the different coding organizations. So we're going to have three, three coding organizations that are nationally recognized. We're going to have the AAPC, which is the American Academy of Professional Coders. We're going to have AHIMA, which is AHIMA, AHIMA, and that's going to be the American Health Information Management Association. And then we're going to have NHA, and that's going to be the National Health Career Association. So the AAPC has the most popular, one of the most popular, not the most, now say one of the most popular certifications, which is the CPC, and that stands for Certified Professional Coder. So the CPC is generally hired for outpatient coding performance measures, but you can also get hired as an inpatient coder as well with the CPC. So with AHIMA, their most popular certification is going to be the CCS, and that's going to be the Certified Coding Specialist. A lot of times when you're coding for inpatient hospital facilities and services, then they're mainly primarily looking for someone with a CCS. Now, however, with a CPC, you can also obtain employment or jobs as an inpatient coder as well. It just depends on what that specific employer is looking for. And then you're going to have the CBCS through the NHA. I know it's a lot of alphabets. I'm struggling to say it, a lot of letters. So you're going to have the CBCS through the NHA. And the CBCS is the Certified Billing and Coding Specialist. It's nationally recognized as well, where you have to take a certification exam. A lot of employers aren't really seeking the CBCS. Some employers do recognize it and they will hire you with the CBCS. So I'm not saying, oh, don't take it through the NHA or anything like that. No, I think that'll be a good start if if you want to look into it and that's what you want to do and that's who you decided to go with. But I will say, as a coder, when I'm looking for employment or just searching things dealing with coding organizations and coding, the two most popular ones I see are the AAPC and AHIMA. So NHA, they do have a certified billing and coding specialist, and it does give you billing and coding education experience. But I don't see a lot of people asking for an NHA certification. Again, I'm not saying it's not good to have. I'm just saying what I've noticed in my experience or my opinion, that I don't see a lot of employers specifically looking for that. So now let's get into the major topic of the video, the difference between billing and coding. So most people do not know. Billing and coding, that's two separate jobs. So, however, if you are a coder and you know how to bill, or if you're a biller and know how to code, or if you're certified in both, of course, it's going to make you extremely more valuable to their organization or to their company because they got one person to do the two jobs. So, again, billing and coding, they simultaneously go together because you have to know a little bit of each to be able to kind of successfully perform your position, but they are separate jobs. So I'll go into what each one does so you can kind of see the difference in it being two separate jobs. So I'll first start off with a coder. So a coder reads medical charts, progress notes, and they apply the appropriate codes for the patient's diagnosis and then any procedures that are performed as well. The coder will apply those procedure codes to that. So I'll give you an example. So a patient goes in the physician office to see his doctor. He's coughing, he has chills, sneezing, um, all those symptoms and signs of things like that, as far as vomiting, stuff like that. So the doctor checks him out, and the doctor diagnoses him with the flu. Now, this, of course, is not a real scenario. I'm just giving you an example so you can have an idea of what coding is. So again, the man comes in, he's coughing, sneezing, he has chills, vomiting. So the doctor sees him, checks him out, gives him a thorough exam, and the doctor decides and diagnoses the patient with the flu. So with the patient having the flu, the doctor then decides to give the patient a flu shot. So as the medical coder, what I would do is I would read the notes because, of course, the doctor is going to appropriately document every intricate piece or every intricate part of that visit with that patient. So I'm going to read what the doctor wrote. The doctor is going to write something of the sorts. 35-year-old male patient comes in, coughing, sneezing, vomiting. I'm diagnosing him with the flu. And then I'm going to give him a flu shot, send him home. If he feels better, I'll tell him to call me back or go to the emergency room, blah, 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 whatever the note says that the doctor wrote. So me as the coder, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that medical chart or that progress note or whatever the doctor wrote. So I want to read it. Okay, this is what happened. So I'm going to take that diagnosis, which is the flu, and I'm going to find the diagnosis code. So every diagnosis that a person can have, from a heart attack, from a toothache, headache, you stump your toe, every thing that a doctor can diagnose a person with is going to be inside of the diagnosis book. The diagnosis book is called ICD 10CM, and that stands for International Classification of Diseases, the 10th edition, clinical modification. So inside of that diagnosis book, every diagnosis that a person can ever have that's documented and recorded is going to be inside of that book. So me as a coder, I'm going to look for the flu diagnosis. A lot of times you'll know these things by heart if you're coding the same things over and over, or if you're used to seeing them or something, or there's plenty of apps, or you can grab your book the old school way. So what you're going to do is you're going to look and you're going to find the flu code. Okay, so this is the flu code. Put that code on there. And then the procedure that was performed in their doctor's office for their patient for the flu was the flu shot. So I'm going to going to look for the procedure code. It's going to be also a book called the CPT, which stands for the Current Procedural Terminology, CPT. So it's going to have all of the procedure codes that can be ever performed. And then you're going to also have a HCPCS, HCPCS, a HCPCS code. That book is going to have all the codes for medical devices like walkers, wheelchairs, any kind of medical supplies, gauzes, medical anything you did, surgical supplies, prosthetic devices, things like that, injections or administrations of injections or ambulance services, all those are going to be in the HCPCS books. So as I just mentioned, as I'm going in between and I'm jumping around, there are going to be three different coding books you're going to need. You're going to need the ICD-10 book, you're going to need the CPT book, and you're going to need the HCPCS book. You're going to need those books to study from, and you're going to need those books for the exam. So as a coder, again, getting back on subject. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read the chart, and I'm going to find the diagnosis, find that code, apply it, and then I'm going to find the procedure that that doctor performed, and I'm going to find a procedure code, and I'm going to apply it to that chart as well. So now I've coded it. I've put the diagnosis there, and I've put the procedure that the doctor performed there. As a coder, my job is done. I've done the coding. However, sometimes as a coder, you can also be the biller as well. Because I've worked in positions where I was both the coder and the biller as well. So then the biller comes to play. Of course, coding is going to be very, very, very important that you apply the correct codes because one misappropriation of the code, you can cost your money practice. You may put the wrong code and the doctor may not get paid as much money for this service if you had put a different code on there and they would have gotten more money for that service because it would have been the exact service or upgraded to explain exactly what they did. So the coding is going to be very important that you apply the appropriate codes. You have to be very detail oriented. You have to read very intensely or whatever to understand coding and to apply the appropriate codes. Because you have to think about it. You are the frontline support and you're responsible for that practice, that healthcare system, that hospital, or wherever setting that you work in. You, as the coder, are responsible for the money coming in from the insurance company. So now let me jump into what a biller does. So again, a biller is going to be very vital to the financial success into a healthcare system processing their insurance claims. So of course you have government insurance companies like Medicare, Medicaid, or whatever your state may have. I'm in Georgia, so they have Peach Care, or you might be in Tennessee and they have, I think it's TennCare. So you have private insurances like Aetna, Blue Cross, Blue Shield, things like that. And then you're going to have, like I said, your government insurances, your Medicare and your Medicaids, and your state insurances like that. So what happens, what the biller does after the coder has coded the medical chart, what the biller does is the biller then submits that medical chart or that claim. They create the claim. After it's coded, they create the claim. And once the claim is created, and most of the time they do electronic submissions, which means you don't have to mail them off like you used to have to do back in the day. You can electronically submit your claims to the insurance companies. So what they would do is they would submit those claims and wait for the claim to either be paid or the claim to either be denied. So once the coder has placed the codes on there and then the biller has sent the claim to the insurance company gets the claim and say, okay, this is the appropriate code. Okay, I'm reading the medical chart. It matches the code. This is what the patient had done. Okay, let's pay this doctor's office, this practice, or this hospital for seeing our patient who has our insurance. Everything was done properly, that's pay. Or they might get the claim and say, hey, this procedure wasn't medically necessary, let's deny it. Or this is the wrong code, let's deny it. Or for whatever reason they choose to deny it, they might deny the claim. So once the claim is denied, then the claim comes back to the office or back to the hospital or back to whatever setting that it went from. So it comes back, and the biller, this is where your job really comes to play. So you're going to look at this claim and say, oh, it denied. Now it's going to tell you why it denied. It's going to tell you in an EOB, which means an explanation of benefits, and explains the benefits that the patient has, were they covered on this date of service, why our insurance company denied them, and many times, sometimes it'll tell you exactly what you need to do to get the claim paid. Sometimes. So as the biller, you're going to see why I deny and say, oh, okay, this was the wrong code. Let me get back with the coder. Let's see what they think or whatever. Oh, it denied for it wasn't medically necessary. Let me send more documents to show that it is necessary. So whatever you do, as a biller, it is your job to follow up on that claim if it comes back denied. Sometimes you might have to write an appeal. They might deny it so many times you might have to appeal it because you know your practice or your hospital deserves this money for the service performed. So you're going to do everything that you need to do to make sure that this claim is paid. So you're going to write an appeal, and you're going to appeal to the insurance company and say, hey, our doctors performed this. They really need the money. This is what the patient needed. So, just all that dragging out, calling insurance companies. So that's where the biller comes into play. So, like I said, you're going to follow up on the status of the claim. To sum it up, you're going to correct the claim and resolve it. As a biller, you receive patient payments. You keep up with collections, how much the patient owes for the visit, the copay, the deductibles, the co-insurance. And you also keep up with any kind of billing regulations from the insurance companies that because rules change all the time, especially with insurance companies and coding. A new code book comes out every year. So as a biller, it's your responsibility to stay abreast of the new regulations, the new rules, and stay in compliance with the insurance companies when you're billing. So the coding exam, as I'm going back and forth between billing and coding, the coding exam through the AAPC, and that's what we'll talk about here, the CPC exam, because I'm most experienced with that because that's the one I have. So I'll speak on the Certified Professional Coding exam. So the CPC exam is going to be 5 hours and 40 minutes. And there's 150 questions there to complete. So for the billing certification, and that's also through the AAPC, they have one as well that's very popular and very sought after for employers. And that's going to stand for Certified Professional Biller. That exam is going to consist of 200 questions. And they're still going to give you the same 5 hours and 40 minutes to complete the exam. Both exams are going to be $399 through the AAPC. And if you're an AAPC student, then they offer the option of getting the exam for $325, and then you get a free retake. So if by chance you so happen to fail the exam, then a free retake comes with you purchasing the $399 or the $325 exam through the AAPC. So for your billing on that exam for your CPB, there are going to be 7 parts to the exam. You're going to have to know about billing regulations, as I just spoke about, compliance and rules and guidelines, and knowing about those policies, the different types of insurance, HIPAA and compliance, reimbursement, collections, billing, coding, and you can have a different scenarios or case analysis to complete on that exam. So now for that, however, although on the billing and as a biller, you don't get a lot of coding experience on the exam or studying for it, but you get enough coding experience to kind of get the gist or get the basics of what coding is in case you wanted to pursue coding as a biller. So now we'll talk about, and the salary for the billing job or the billing positions average, according to the AAPC, is around $52,300 on an average. And that's, of course, according to your location, your experience, and how many other credentials do you also hold. So now we'll go into how to prepare for the exam. So a lot of people prepare for the CPC exam different ways. Some people self-study. Some people can get the CPC study guide from various places. There are a lot of good study guides out. I'll drop the link below to get the study guide that I have. It's Dynamic Billing and Coding Study Guide, and it's a complete study guide, and it consists of all of the components, and it's a replica of the CPC exam. It also comes with the answers and the rationale as to how you should have arrived at those answers. And I'll also give you the reference book and the page number that you're going to find the answer on. Inside the book, also, there's going to be different quizzes on the different categories and things like that, study tips, Everything that you need to pass the CPC exam is going to be included inside of this book. So, again, how to prepare for the CPC. Some people self study. Some people buy the books that you need, the three coding books that I spoke about. Some people will buy those books. They'll buy a plethora of study guides. They'll look at YouTube videos. They'll look at things online. They'll self study and they take the exam. Some people are successful, some people are not. It just depends on your learning style. Are you disciplined enough? Do you understand this part of the medical industry enough to not need anyone to break it down or to teach you, the things that you need to know about the coding course? So that's one, self study. So another one is you can go to a trade school. So I see these trade schools offering a 9 month billing and coding course. It's around $15,000. Of course, student loans and things like that. I am not against student loans. The only time I'm against student loans is if you go and take a student loan out for a program or for a course or something, and you complete the course, but you don't go ahead and get certified, or you don't complete it all the way. And now you've taken out a loan for something that you don't even have anything to show for. So that's the only time I have a problem with a student loan. But if you're going to go get your student loan, you're going to go to class, you're going to complete it, you're going to get the certification at the end, you're going to take the exam, do all of that, and then you're going to be working in the field, and then you're going to be making this money back, and then you can pay your loan back little by little. I get it. I had student loans. I'm sure everybody almost does have student loans or whatever. So it's a good thing. So some people need to go to trade school route, being that they do not have the cash or they do not have the money to pay for a short term program. So they have to get a loan, and that's okay. The end goal is to be CPC certified. So it doesn't matter the route, whichever one is best for you, is for you, because your option may not be fit for somebody else's option. So if a trade school at 9 months and 15, around 15, 12 to 15,000, something like that, if that's best for you, hey, go for it. Okay. And then we have the other option, and that's the one I did. I took an AAPC PC course through the American Academy of Professional Coders. Of course, I had an approved instructor who was approved through the AAPC that teaches the course. I took all of mine online. I didn't have time to sit in a classroom and I was working, I have children, so I didn't have time to sit in a classroom and kind of take up that much time. So I completed my course online. It's self-paced. It should take you 4 months. They give you 16 weeks to complete the course. Now, if you need additional time to complete the course, you can pay an additional fee per month to have the course open for you to complete your services. But typically, if you're focused and if you're on track, the AAPC CPC course should only take you 16 weeks, 4 months to complete that course. So once you complete, that's like I said, that's another way to get prepared for the CPC is to study through the AAPC your 4 month, your 16-week course. So again, like I mentioned earlier, the exam is going to be 5 hours, 40 minutes, and it's going to be 150 questions. So I already discussed the three books that you need. I'll say it again: the diagnosis book, which is the ICD-10, CM. You're going to need the CPT professional version of the book, and you're going to need the HCPCS level 2 version. Those are the three books you're going to need for the exam, and that's the three books you're going to need because they do allow you to use your books for the exam. That's one thing that sold me on going ahead and signing up for coding is once I found out that you can use your books for the exam, I'm like, wow, it's like an open book test. So that was one of the deciding factors for me. So we talked about the three books that you'll need. So let's talk about the most popular subject that I hear among coders, new coders, veteran coders, future coders, not finding a job once you're done getting certified. So I'm sure you've heard it, and not in just the field of coding or just anything that it takes your time out. Getting degrees. I've heard people say, I have this college degree and now, I can't find a job and things like that. So one of the most popular questions, a lot of brand new entry level coders or coders ask me, when I take this course, will it be hard for me to find a job? Everybody tells me that I won't be able to find a job once I finish getting certified. So this is my thing. When people tell me that they can't find a job or they heard somebody that couldn't find a job and that discouraged them, a lot of things come into play for me. When someone tell me that they can't find a job and they've been certified for 2 years or 1 year or 4 years, there are a lot of questions I have. How is your resume? Is your resume formatted in the way that allows the employer to feel confident in even calling you once they see your resume to have you come in for an interview? And then how are your interview skills? So if your resume is good, you've made it to interviews, and so if you've made it to interviews, why are you not landing the job? Or are you even getting interviews? And if you're putting your resume out there, why aren't you getting interviews? Is it your resume? So are you personable when employers speak to you? Are you knowledgeable of coding? Are you confident and speaking when talking to employers where they're confident in hiring you? So it's a lot of things that goes into play when people say, "Oh, I don't think so." People say they can't find a job. So I always ask a lot of those factors when people say they can't find a job. I just don't automatically dismiss whatever certification or whatever career path someone has chosen. I just ask those questions to see, are you just doing your due diligence to make sure that you find and secure this job in this field? So another thing I want to talk about is finding entry level jobs in this field. So if you've just got certified or you're working to get certified, so a good thing, if you can't find a coding job right away, because sometimes it's challenging, sometimes it's not. So if you find yourself not being able to find that or land that coding job you want, look in other areas. Look at the insurance verification specialist. Look into collections or AR. Look into scheduling. Look into front desk coordinating or front desk staff. Referral coordinator, where you get the referral from the insurance company and the authorization numbers to for patients to have certain procedures or surgeries or treatments and things. So look into other parts of different administrative roles if you just can't find that coding role, because once you get your foot in the door and once people know you're certified, then I'm sure they'll take the time to train you or to teach you or to even get to know you to see if you'll be a good fit in another role that fits your certification that you have. So a lot of people ask me how I started coding and what made me start coding. So first, I've been in the medical field for a while. Early 2000s, I started off in the business office at a nursing home. So that's when I first got my coding experience. When I first started seeing codes and knowing about billing and the admissions process and things like that. So I was introduced to coding in like the early 2000s, where it became very interesting to me. So after that, my next medical job, and I've had other jobs in between, but I only talk about the medical field jobs and how it led me to coding. So after that, I became a certified pharmacy technician. So I was very interested in medications, the generic, the brand, the dosage calculations, what does it do? And because at one time I thought I wanted to be a pharmacist, but pharmacy tech school was enough for me. I had to stop there. So I was a pharmacy tech, certified pharmacy tech, and I practiced for about 5 consecutive years. And I was like, this isn't it either. So let me see what I'm gonna do, something else. So the job after that I had that was in the medical field was like a direct support care specialist, where I directly supported patients that needed my care, whether it was minimum or maximum support. So after that, I became a patient care coordinator at our infertility clinic, and then I was reintroduced. I'll say that back to coding then. So once I got reintroduced to coding at the infertility center, I was like, I think this is what I want to do. So I ended up speaking to one of my good friends. She had been a coder for a while. So I ended up speaking to her about the pros and the cons. And the more she talked, there were no cons. And then when she told me I can use my books for the exam, I was completely sold. Now don't get me wrong, don't jump and skip and say, oh, it's easy, you can use your books. No. That's what I was thinking too. I was thinking because you can use your books. Automatic pass, automatic easy, that's what it is. No, 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 no. It does not work like that because one thing about it, if you don't know where to look in your book for the answers, then you're going to spend the complete test or the entire test flipping through your book looking for the answers and you're still not going to find it. So please familiarize yourself with your books. It's not as easy as, oh, I can use my books so I don't have to study as hard. No, please study hard. If anybody tell you that coding is easy, they are lying. Now, I'm not saying it's hard and you can't do it. It won't work. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is coding is very detailed, it's very challenging, and there's nothing easy about coding, especially when you're responsible for a whole healthcare entity's money coming in. So you have to be very, 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 very detailed for that. So coding is not easy, it's not hard, but it is challenging. So yeah, that's what made me get into coding, knowing that I can use my books. So I'll tell you my experience about taking the CPC exam. So a lot of times he was like, "Oh my God, you went through that." Yes, I did. So I was thinking, "Oh, I can use my books. I don't have to study as hard. I can schedule the exam whenever I want to schedule it." So I actually completed the course, and I think maybe the month was in December. And so after I completed the course, I didn't want to schedule right away. But knowing what I know now, I suggest anybody to schedule their exam within 30 days of you completing the course or 30 days of you finished studying because it's fresh on your brain and you can go in with all these things you've learned and they're still at the top of your brain and you can go ahead and take the exam. Hey, it's still there and you pass the exam. So back to my experience. So I think I finished the course in maybe like December. I remember it was cold, so I'm thinking it's December. And I remember taking the exam maybe in like April or May. I didn't study in between then. Now, all through my course, and like I said, I took the course through the AAPC, my entire course, aced every subject, A's, B's, every subject. So I'm thinking, oh, well, I don't have to study as hard. Oh, I aced the course. Of course, I aced the exam. So here it is, 4 or 5 months later. I go ahead and schedule the exam, and I take it. Wait on my results in the mail. I just, wait on my certification really because I just know I passed. So I get my results in the mail, failed by a few points. So I'm all distraught, disappointed, things like that. And I had to realize I did not study as hard as I should have. I stopped studying before I took the exam. It's like I finished the course and I just said, hey, I'm just waiting for exam. Didn't look over anything at all. So I really couldn't be upset with anybody but myself because I did not take it serious. So I was like, hey, I'm getting these books. I'm going to, get serious about this. I'm going to take this exam again because I'm going to pass it. It was only a few points. I know if I get another question right, I would have passed. So imagine what I can do when I study. So maybe about 4 months later, maybe about 5 months later, I took the exam again. So I'm all psyched, I'm geared, I'm anxious, I'm nervous. It's like this is the second time I've got to pass it. Everything's riding on this, and the job. And actually, I had found a job after completing the course. Um, as the skip subjects, when people say that you won't be able to find a job once you get certified, I found a job before I was certified. It was making almost $25 an hour, and that was my first coding job. And I was not certified with those $25 an hour. So back to me taking the exam. So everything's riding on this. They're going to give me a raise if I pass it, if I get certified. So I'm very anxious. I'm nervous. I'm determined. I've been studying. I know I'm going to pass it this time, without a doubt. Go and take the exam. I'm taking it. I'm feeling very confident. I just know I passed it. Get my results in the mail. Guess what, you guys? I'm ashamed to even say this. It was a zero. Let me get close to the camera. It was a zero when I got my test results. So I'm wondering, this has got to be wrong. How did I get a zero? You're not going to tell me that I got every single question on this exam wrong. You're not telling me that. So I got on the phone. I called the AAPC. I'm like, what's going on? I have a zero. You send me my results. Guess what I did, you guys? I was so anxious, so nervous about the exam that I bubbled my name on the Scantron and the date and things like that. But I wrote all of the answers in the answer book and bubbled in nothing on the Scantron but my name. So that's how they knew who to give the zero to, because it was nothing but my name on the Scantron. And you know the book doesn't get graded. So here I am, the second time I took the the CPC exam, and I get a zero, and I knew I passed because I knew all the answers. So I'm like, oh my God, okay. So many people maybe would have given up then, because I hear a lot of people say, well, I failed it one time and and I just gave up. No, just because things get hard, do not give up. That's the perfect time to persevere and keep going when it gets hard. So I scheduled the exam again for the third time, 2 months later, and I passed with flying colors. Almost perfect. A really good score. So that's how I knew I passed the second time. But I wanted to tell you my story in that to be motivational and don't give up. The studying is going to get challenging. It's going to get hard. You're going to have other things around you. You're going to have your family, your job, your children, personal issues come up. There's going to be all those things to come up, but keep on going through the course. Becoming a certified coder has been one of the best things that I could have done as far as career wise. So many opportunities. Health IT. I got into health IT being a coder. So it's so many opportunities that are out here available for coders. So I hope you enjoyed my video. I am going to conclude it. I've been talking to you guys for over 30 minutes. So I'm going to conclude the video. I hope you really enjoyed it. I hope you got some really, 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 really good information about coding. And please do remember that coding is in high demand. So when people say they can't find jobs and they're not sure, it's got to be something else, because coding is in high demand. The healthcare industry isn't going anywhere. Physicians are constantly seeing patients, and when they're constantly seeing patients, there's going to be the need for someone to process those claims and code those medical charts. So it's in absolute high demand at all times for medical coders. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned some things from this video. I'm going to drop the link below for the study guide. And there's also some cute little buttons that you can, proudly say that you're a coder, you love coding, or if you're a future coder and you just want to be motivated, have buttons that says future coder. You can look down it and say, hey, I'm a future coder. And in a few months or a few weeks or next year, whenever, I'll be certified. So I'll drop the link below for those study guide materials for the coding merchandise. And I'll also drop the link below to our Instagram, in our Instagram page and our Facebook page as well. So you can join our group. If you have any questions as a coder on your job, you're not sure why this claim is getting denied, or you're not sure the appropriate code to use, we're in the group and we all help each other, answer each other's questions, relay relevant information, keep each other abreast and updated on the new codes and changes and guidelines to compliance. So I will drop all of that information below in the description box. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button there or whatever, so you can catch all of my videos that'll be coming through. So again, thank you so much for joining me, and I hope you enjoyed this video about billing, coding, and the differences between the two. Thank you so much.